Welcome to the first wine tasting presentation here at Wine Future Hong Kong 2011. Where is this? The diversity and passion of Spanish wines.
Pancho Campo is a former tennis professional and Olympic participant who retired from sports to establish his own management and marketing company. He has produced high-profile events from the Davis Cup to music shows for Sting, Pink Floyd and Enrique Iglesias, amongst many others. Driven by his long-time passion for wine, in 2003 he founded the Wine Academy of Spain and in 2008 became the first Spanish Master of Wine. He is also the founder of the World Conference on Climate Change and Wine, featuring keynote speakers such as Vice President Al Gore and Kofi Annan. An expert on market trends, promotions and event management, he is the brains behind Wine Future. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pancho Campo.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the first tasting of Wine Future. I hope you had an enjoyable day with our panels. And today what we're going to do is take you on a tour around Spain. This is a new concept that we're trying to implement to make wine tastings more fun, more enjoyable, and more exciting. I am going to take you to the origin of each and every wine you have on the table. Let me transport you to each of those areas before you touch the wine. How I'm going to do that? Through videos that I have recorded with the team at the Wine Academy, especially for this tasting. But let's think about Spain first. Why do we want to taste Spanish wines? But before we do that, let me tell you, this tasting is being broadcast live via streaming, via internet, through all these websites that you see in the panels. And there's about 3,000 or 4,000 people watching the tasting, mostly in Spain. And from here, we say hello to the guys from Berema, wines from Spain, Que Lujo, what's the other one? There you go. Thank you so much for the support. Now, what do you think? What comes to your mind when you think about Spain? Well, we always ask this question when we travel around the world promoting Spain, and the first answer we get is always bullfight. People recognize Spain as a country of bullfighting, but also flamenco, as well as tapas. And tapas are today what Italian food used to be in the 70s. There are tapas all over the world. There's fusion tapas, there's Asian tapas, there's all sorts of tapas. And also Spain is the land of jamón ibérico, that delicacy, that fantastic dish that comes from Spain. When it comes to wine, unfortunately, we have been regarded as a land that makes very entry-level, low-cost sparkling wine. Also, we are known for making red wines that are aged for a long time, and sherry. Give me the other one. Now, there's a new Spain, and that Spain, for me, is represented, for example, by Rafael Nadal or Fernando Alonso. Who would have thought a country like Spain would have a Ferrari driver winning the World Cup twice, but also the World Cup of football. We won the World Cup. It's world champions of football. That was also quite unthinkable a few years ago. And also we have the best football team in the world, Barcelona Football Club. Sorry for the fans that support Real Madrid. Visca el Barça. But we're also achieving lots of success in things like movies, with Javier Bardem winning the Oscar, or Penelope Cruz. Ooh, you like that one, eh? But we also have modern architecture, like the picture you're going to see now. That's the city of the, sorry, that's the Guggenheim in Bilbao, or the next one, which will show you the city of the sciences in Valencia. But I think the most important and the one that relates more to wine is the following, is our modern gastronomy represented by the great chef Ferran Adrià. Spanish gastronomy is fashionable today, and we have to make a link between Spanish gastronomy and our wines. Now, there's also a new wine industry. Look at this picture. This is a beautiful winery in Rioja. This is called Isios, and it's designed by a very famous Spanish architect called Calatrava. But the next one is the picture that for me represents better than anything what Spain is all about today. This is Marqués de Riscal. Marqués de Riscal is the perfect blend of the most classic tradition of Rioja with the modern design of Frank Gehry. But it's not only a winery, it's a hotel, it's a spa, and it's a resort. So they're betting on a long term in wine tourism. Now, we decided to do this tasting because many people believe that Spain should be the country that rules the next 5 or 10 years the wine industry. Like Robert Parker said not long ago, Spain will be the star. Or if we quote a British wine buyer from Waitrose, Spain's biggest asset is value. And in a world where the economy is very flaky, people are trading down. In countries like the United States, people still want to continue drinking wine, but they want to pay less money. And that's where Spain shines, value for money. Now, having said that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you why Spain should rule the world of wine. I'm going to show you 17 wines. We're going to visit 14 regions of Spain. We're going to taste mostly indigenous varieties. We are going to add also some international varieties just to show you that Spain has the potential of producing not only our own grapes, but also international grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon, for example. Let me show you the first wine. And the first wine is going to take us to Galicia.
Behind me, the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. We are in Galicia. We are in the northwest part of Spain, the green Spain. And this cathedral is the final target of all those pilgrims that go through St. James's Way, El Camino de Santiago. Almost 800 kilometers walking from the south of France in Roncesvalles to this town to meet this cathedral and walk through the door of the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. Welcome to Galicia. This is typical from Galicia, and I'm here with Berto, that has one of the best restaurants for this fantastic display of seafood, lobsters, clams, razors, different type of fish. And the best way to understand the local food and the local wine is to put them together. What goes better with this kind of food than this wine, the local grape variety, Albariño, from this denomination, Rías Baixas. We are in La Toja in Galicia, and the best way to enjoy this place is in a place like this with Berto. Fantastic seafood, great wine.
is a typical training system here in Rías Baixas. It is called pergola. There are many reasons for this system, but the most important, in my opinion, is that as the plant is very vigorous and we have a lot of rain during the flowering period, it is very protected with all the leaves that we have on top of it. Hello, this is Vicky Mareque. Here is my mother, Marisol Bueno, the owner. We hope you have enjoyed Galicia, and here we leave you tasting Pazo de Señorans 2010. We hope you enjoy it and like it. Thank you.
Did you like that? That's Galicia. That's nice, huh? Big clap for Galicia, please. And this is the wine. You have the technical data over there. It's Pazo de Señorans. It's a 2010, 100% Albarino, unoaked, and it's the perfect companion for seafood, but also from some of the beautiful Chinese and other Asian dishes that you can find around here. The wine has a beautiful pale yellow color, but what's most interesting of this wine, it's the nose. It's very aromatic, it's all citrics, and in the palate it's got a nice balancing acidity. I'm not going to comment too much on the wine because most of you are wine professionals, and I'm going to tell you how to taste the wine. My intention with this tasting is to show you the wine, show you the place where it comes from. Every wine in the world is always linked to a point of origin, and I want to show you the origin of most of these wines. Let me take you to the next region. We're moving to Catalonia. Catalonia is the land where I was brought up. It's the land of Ferran Adrià, Carme Ruscalleda. It's the land of Football Club Barcelona, Gaudí. And in the wine industry, nothing represents Catalonia better than cava.
Mad Wine brings you today to Cava's Gramona, one of the greatest producers of this marvelous sparkling wine known as cava. Follow me, let's go and meet Jaume and Xavier Gramona, and also let's go and taste some of the beautiful wines they make. Cava is one of the greatest sparkling wines of the world. It's the sparkling wine that comes from Spain, mostly from the Penedès. And it's made with 3 autochthonous indigenous varieties, Xarel·lo, Macabeo and Parellada. This particular vineyard is Xarel·lo, probably the most elegant, probably the one that gives the best structure for long aging. But that is going to be explained to us by Jaume Gramona. He's the technical director and he's part of the owning family. Let's go and meet him. We are in a very special place for you. Xarel·lo is a grape that you pressure.
Yes.
But why is so special Xarel·lo?
Xarel·lo is very special because his aging capacity from the longer cava aging, and it's a very good structure, very nice acidity, and for a very longer stay with the yeast, and very nice flowers.
You mentioned also before that the antioxidative potential.
In this skin, it's only one white grapes, the stilbens and resveratrol, and that is very important, not only for the persons, but it's very important for the wine and his capacity for the long aging.
Long aging.
Where do we
characteristics that gives its peculiar taste to Celler Valle is the dosage. How do you make the dosage? What is the dosage in this case?
Well, the dosage is this tradition who has arrived to our days in sparkling wines, in which we add a good of perfume to our wines. We could call it the family dosage, and it's very particular in every single sparkling wine house. In our case, it's old Soleras from sherry and rum, chestnut Soleras who belong to my family for more than 100 years, and who has been keeping alcohols that we mix with wines, also aged by Solera system, and this gives us a unique touch in this perfume that we add, this good that we add to our sparkling.
Can you show me?
Yes, of course.
Nice mahogany color.
Hello, I'm Javier Grabona. May I introduce you Celler Valle? You're going to taste it now. I hope you enjoy it. And in my mother tongue, gracias, que vaya de gusto.
That's Cava, one of the greatest sparkling wines of the world. And I would like to thank Xavier Gramona, who is sitting with us today, especially from Barcelona. Thank you, Javier. This cava is Celler Valle, and the whole philosophy of the house is long-aged cavas on the lees. This has about 7 years on the lees, and the complexity in both the nose and the palate is just outstanding. We've tasted this blind in several blind tastings with different, MW students and other wine professionals, and it always does very well. In Catalonia, cava, the Catalans very frequently they eat with cava, and this is the type of cava that you can perfectly accompany even some of the local dishes here in Hong Kong. I hope you enjoy it. Cheers, and we're going to move to the next wine. The next wine, let me show you the video first, and then we'll talk about this remarkable man.
Mad Wine brings you today to Torres, perhaps Spain's most well-known winery around the world. We're going to visit some of the vineyards. We will meet the man. We will meet Miguel Torres. And especially, we're going to visit this vineyard, Mas La Plana, just to show you that Torres is not only about doing lots of wines, but also to show you that they produce very fine wines which they call vinos de finca. Welcome to Torres. Today I'm in the company of Miguel Torres, somebody that I admire profoundly, and somebody that has helped tremendously to make Spanish wines more international. I can't think of a country where I have been that I haven't seen a bottle of Torres wine. But also Miguel is very concerned with something that touches our heart at the Wine Academy very, very deeply, is the environment, climate change. Where does this concern come from?
Well, I think it all started, watching the movie of your friend Al Gore in 2007, and I was shocked by the message. Then, some weeks after, the family board accepted an investment of 10 million euros in several aspects like renewable energies, research, new constructions, and so forth. And we are today already up to 7 million. So this is working, and I think, it has to be done. I think it has to be done.
We will devote a full program to climate change and the environment, and we will visit some of the vineyards that they have planted in the Pre-Pyrenees. Today we're going to talk about this exceptional wine called Mas La Plana. Why Mas La Plana is so exceptional, and it became famous because of a competition back in the 80s, I think.
Well, Mas La Plana has been, well, it's today our flagship. It's a wine we like to see in best hotels, best restaurants around the world. And I think the prestige of the wine started, as you point out very well, in 1979, when Gomilo organized this costing, the world, was called the Wine Olympics. And Mas La Plana, in one of the groups, defeated some first growth from Bordeaux. It was, I mean, terribly important for us. People realized that Spain could produce wines that could match, the meeting wines of France. So this was extremely positive.
We will visit later the vineyard of Mas La Plana, exactly. But I assume it's very old vines, low yields.
Very old vines, 29 hectares only, very low yields, 3-4 tons to the hectare, and it's all Cabernet Sauvignon. And today these vines they are well over 40 years, yeah, so they are really making very good wine.
Campe. And we're going to go and visit the vineyard now. Gracias. This is the very prestigious vineyard of Mas La Plana. 40 years of age, very old Cabernet Sauvignon, one of the first ones to be planted in Spain. Limestone-based soil, low yields, about 3,000 kilos per hectare. This is what makes Mas La Plana one of the great Cabernet Sauvignons of the world from the Penedès.
Hello. My name is Miguel Torres, and I am a member of the fourth generation of the Torres family, together with my brother Juan and my sister Marimar. And I'm very glad to introduce you the wine you are going to taste, Mas La Plana 2007, the flagship of the Torres family. And by the way, this is the bottle of wine that Pancho and I were going to take care for lunch now. Thank you.
Mas La Plana. Is Miguel Torres here? Miguel, are you here? Well, I don't know if Miguel is still here, but thank you so much, Miguel, for the fantastic wine, for your vision, and for so much you're doing for the environment. Thank you. And big round of applause for the Torres house. I think he's gone. You see, this is Cabernet Sauvignon, but it's a 2007. This is still a baby. It's a very young wine. It's got a nice nose of black fruits with all these creaminess, all these cappuccino notes that I love. And in the palate, firm tannin, lots of grip. But this is a wine that it's a wine to be cellared and enjoy much more in 5, maybe 10 years. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's move to the next wine that comes from one of the most mysterious wine regions in the world. Is the wine region of the silence, of the steep slopes. Welcome to the Priorat.
We are in the Priorat, one of the most amazing wine producing regions anywhere in the world. Behind me, the very impressive winery of Ferrer Bobet. With Sergi Ferrer Salat and Raúl Bobet, the owners, we will visit the winery. We will see some of the very old vineyards of Carignan and Garnacha, more than 100 years old, and they will explain us what is the secret to this region. The soil, the impressive Mont Saint Massif in the back, the climate. Let's go and visit it.
So here we are in a very old vineyard. These vines have got 80, 90, 100 years, and we're talking about Carignan vineyards with very, very low but very balanced yields. And one of the one of the secrets of the Priorat is this very famous slaty soil, these metamorphic rocks. You have to understand that here we have a serious problem of drought, and with these rocks that I can just break so easily with my hands, you can imagine how deep the roots of the vines can go. And this is fundamental in order to obtain the necessary water, the water that they need. And this gives quality. This is a substantial, a capital aspect in the quality of the grapes, because they're able to sustain the drought and still give very high, top quality fruit. Keep on taking them and I keep on breaking them. And you can see all this cleavage. This is fantastic, because these soils have a relatively low water retention capacity, but still the roots can go deep enough to obtain the humidity they need. And this is a substantial part of the magic of the Priorat. So, hello, my name is Sergi Ferrer Salat. I'm here with my friend and partner Raúl Bobet. We are here in the Priorat. Ferrer Bobet is the winery, and this is the 2008 Ferrer Bobet that you're going to taste. 2/3 Carignan, 1/3 Grenache, very old vines, 80, 90-year-old vines. We hope very much that you're going to enjoy it.
That's Priorat, that's a fantastic winery, and Sergi is very passionate, and Raúl Bobet is one of the most prestigious winemakers in Spain. This is one of the parts of Spain where you can find excellent Grenache, but now you're able to find fantastic Carignan. And Carignan is a very difficult grape because unless it's 30 or 40 years of age, it's very difficult to make a wine that is elegant. There are lots of hectares of very old vines of Carignan, but also Grenache. Priorat is one of the most easy to recognize wines in a blind tasting. It has this very strong licorice character, very mineral, very spicy. And for people that have complained that wines were made very ripe, overripe in the Priorat, this is the perfect example that they were wrong, because Carignan tends to bring up the acidity, and the passion that these two guys have for making wine led them to uproot all the vineyards they had planted because of climate change. They were facing southeast, and they were getting too much alcohol, too much ripeness. And now they're planting facing north, where the vines get less exposure and they can maintain a nice high acidity. What do you think about this? Brilliant, thank you, I like that. Thank you, Steven Spurrier. Coming from you, that's a real compliment. So, we're still in Catalonia, and the last wine from this fantastic land comes from Ampurdà, right at the border with France. Mad Wine brings you today to one of the best wine and tourism resorts anywhere in the world. Lots of activities, lots of things to do. For example,
I am the perfect man, the one that you have never seen. I am the
breathtaking vineyards and spectacular sightseeing.
I am the perfect man.
An 18-hole golf course, state of the art.
A film for your children, and I will be there soon.
A 5-star hotel with a really exciting wine spa, restaurants, and a really cool wine bar.
I am your lover, and I'm your raider.
What an amazing place. This is one of the newest appellations in Spain, Ampurdá. To the north, the border with France. To the south, Girona. And just a few kilometers from here, the famous El Bulli restaurant. Food, wine tourism, great wine. And talking about great wine, that vineyard over there, just behind me, is Finca Garbet. That's the wine that you guys are going to be tasting and that we will visit in a minute. Well, here we are, right in the middle of this vineyard called Finca Garbet. And now we're going to meet Delfí Sanahuja, who is the chief winemaker.
Bueno, aquí estamos en el Syrah de Finca Garbet, que es el vino que cataremos. Finca Garbet 2005 está elaborado con 100% Syrah. Sale de este viñedo de aquí, que está recolectado hace una semana. Y en principio lo que buscamos en Finca Garbet con la variedad Syrah es esta tipicidad que tiene el Syrah de vino denso, vino envolvente, con mucho color, un tanino muy maduro y sobre todo expresar lo que es la Finca Garbet. Es la tramuntana, este fuerte viento que nos viene del norte. Se ven los pinos muy inclinados debido a este fuerte viento que le da estrés en la planta, pero regulándolo con el riego nos da mucha calidad. Y luego también el terreno de pizarra es muy bueno para... ¿no? Todo pizarra. Finca Garbet es pizarra y lo que nos da es pues, muy poca cantidad de uva, pero de mucha calidad, de mucha extracción y de mucha mineralidad.
A 14th century castle that inside contains a spectacular library, a museum, but it's also the venue to one of the nicest and most spectacular music festivals which takes place every summer in the month of August.
Hi, I'm Eugeni Llos, and Delfí Sanahuja and myself, we would like to welcome you to Castillo Perelada. Today we will present Finca Garbet 2005. We hope you enjoy it.
When you taste this wine, you can understand why many people regard Spain as the new world of the old world. It's a fruit-driven wine, it's full in the palate, and it's got this beautiful, I don't know if you can taste it, this, I call it after eight character. It's all these fruit chocolates with a minty background. It's a very nice wine, very enjoyable, very easy to drink. And Eugeni and Delfí, are you guys here? They should be here. Don't be shy. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Round of applause for Perelada. Thank you. The next wine is going to take us to a region that has a festivity that is one of the icons of Spain. Take a look.
A great wine is always linked to a history, a land, and tradition. Nothing more traditional in Navarra than this, San Fermín. And where we are now is the Estafeta Street. the street where you saw the bulls running amongst many other people running after me. And this is the price you have to pay when you run in front of the bulls. Viva San Fermín, viva Navarra. Hi, we are in Pago de Cirsus with owner Iñaki. Iñaki, thank you for inviting us to your property.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me.
And we're gonna visit the winery, and shall we go?
Okay, we go.
Thank you. So how long ago did you start this project?
About 12 years.
12 years. And how many hectares do you have in total?
200.
200 hectares.
in only one state.
And mostly is what we call the Navarra blend, no? Merlot,
Yes, Navarra,
Cabernet Sauvignon.
Cabernet Sauvignon, Tempranillo,
Uh-huh.
and now Shiraz. Very, very healthy the vineyard, because we have the very strong wind in summer and in winter of course, but in summer we have an average of the wind very, very, very strong, and it's very healthy for the vineyard.
Shall we go and see the rest of the parcel?
Okay. I invite you to visit my estate in Navarra, and I hope that you enjoy with this wine at the winery in Navarra. Salud.
We're very honored today because we have the president of the appellation of Navarra, Pilar. Where is Pilar? Thank you so much for your help. Big clap. And it seems that the theme of the Wine Future is movie producers, because Iñaki, the guy that you just saw presenting the wine, is a movie producer. He worked with Francis Ford Coppola, also with Johnny Depp, and he's the producer of a movie called The Ninth Gate. But what is more relevant for Navarra, and I want to try to promote that, is what we call the Navarra blend. Because Navarra doesn't have an indigenous variety, I think it would be interesting, and they're doing it, to promote a Navarra blend, which is the blend of Spanish grape variety with an international variety. In this case, in this wine, is Tempranillo with Merlot and Shiraz. I hope you enjoy this wine. And the next wine shows you a little bit of the philosophy behind our new website that we're launching today, which is madwine.tv. We're trying to approach wine to the consumer in a much more friendly way, with an easy language and with a lifestyle orientation. Let's go to the next wine.
Mad Wine brings you today to one of the nicest and most peculiar estates of the whole country, Dominio de Valdepusa, in Castilla-La Mancha, the province of Toledo. We are going to meet a great man. He is an aristocrat, he is a great winemaker, but mostly he's a great person. Carlos Falcó. We will visit the vineyard and we will visit the house behind me that dates back to the 12th century. But we're going to do it in a very special way. Come and join me.
And the life of the party, baby, since you said goodbye. There's an old Joe, he knows I'm here every night. And that good old boy in the mirror looking one for you. He had me, and that's a honky tonk true. That's a honky tonk true. Cross my broken heart. I put my rod in.
Carlos, we're surrounded by vineyards of Cabernet Sauvignon. A lot of people believe that you were the pioneer in bringing Cabernet to Spain.
Yes, I was a student in Davis in the 60s, so when I came back to Spain I decided that I must try this famous grape which is producing such extraordinary wines both in Medoc and in Napa Valley. So I tried, I did a study of the climate and everything with professors of Davis, and then I decided to plant it finally in '74.
So these are your oldest vineyards of Cabernet Sauvignon?
Yes, they are. It's the only vineyard of Cabernet Sauvignon here, and it's also the oldest vineyard.
Since which date?
It was planted in March '74.
Well, let me know that's a honky tonk true. That's a honky tonk true. Across my broken heart, I put my rolling near on his beer and scream the horn is far. I am drinking, I am crying, and money in the blue. I won't lie to you. No, that's a honky tonk true. I am drinking, and crying, and money in the blue. I won't lie to you. No, that's a honky tonk true.
Carlos, Dominio de Valdepusa was the first designation of origin Pago. But for our viewers and for the people that will be attending the tasting, what is a Pago? What is the meaning of Pago?
A pago is the property. It comes from the Latin pagus, which means an estate. And the idea is that the wines are produced, it can also be applied to olive oil, but mainly the wines are produced only with the grapes of the estate. And the winery is located within the estate, or in the terrain is difficult, like sometimes in Burgundy, it can be a bit outside. The idea, the name Pago is equivalent to what you would call cru in Bordeaux. So Grand Cru would be in Spanish Gran Pago.
No, that's a honky tonk true. Hey!
Emeritus is the symbol of the long-time efforts of our vineyard and winery. We celebrated the new millennium with the first Emeritus, 97, and never looked back. We try to reflect here the best of our vineyard. The majority is Cabernet Sauvignon, planted in 1974. Most of the rest is Petit Verdot, a very unique grape that we brought back to Spain after 2,000 years. And finally, a little bit of Syrah to give it a touch of something different. We always look for a good balance, intensity, purity, and after the blend, we put the wine back another year in new oak barrels. This is Emeritus 05.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Carlos Falcó. Thank you, Carlos. I think the wine speaks for itself, and the images of this D.O. Pago are breathtaking. Carlos is also the founder of Grandes Pagos de España, the Grand Cruise of Spain. You can taste all their wines in our trade show area, and you have several of the winemakers around here. And thank you for accompanying us in this Wine Future Hong Kong, guys. Thank you very much. Let's move to the next wine, and we're moving to the land of paella. We're going to the Levant. We're going to Valencia.
Seems to be not that the door is open. Away from your side, but there is a...
One of the most attractive characteristics of Spanish wines is the large number of grape varieties, indigenous grape varieties. For example, these vines that are around me, this is Bobal. It's an indigenous grape variety of the region of Valencia. Today we are going to meet Tony Sarrión, who produces one of the finest wines made with Bobal, Quincha Corral. Let's go and meet Tony.
Making love is how you change the world. Helping people's how you'll save your soul. Let's go surfing the sun.
Tony, the king of Bobal.
Thank you, thank you.
What makes Bobal so special?
I think it's local, it's autochthon, it's a Spanish variety. For us, it's very, very important. Big, I don't know, big flavors in the smell is red to black berries. Color, very, very color. And when you taste, is full body, very nice acidity. I think it's high acidity for Mediterranean wines.
Okay. So, do you think is the ideal wine for that paella that we're going to taste now?
Of course, it's perfect.
Is it local wine with local food?
Yes, perfect.
Can't
Very
wait.
nice.
Let's go.
Okay, come on.
Away from your side, but there is a key. Guess what will be waiting for you on the other side.
When you think about Spain and you think about Spanish wine, you have to think about the food. And one of the most recognizable icons of Spanish food is paella. And with this Quincha Corral, Tony Sarrión, an expert in paella, is going to show us how do you prepare this so Spanish dish from Valencia. Tony.
Well, okay. We prepare the paella before we put the chicken and the rabbit with olive oil, not too much. And prepare around 10-5 minutes, like brown, and after put garrofón, like this. This is original from Valencia. And when all together is ready, we put the soup.
When do you put the rice?
The rice, when the soup is concentrate. After 20-25 minutes, boil with all together.
Let's go surfing the sun, I say. Facing life just like riding away. Let's go surfing the sun, I said. Facing life.
Hi, Tony Sarrión from Bodega Mustiguillo. My wine, Bobal, Quincha Corral, 2007. I hope you enjoy the wine.
Let's go surfing the sun.
At Spain is about food, it's about culture, it's about having fun with great wines. I think that wine is showing beautifully today, and it's a 100% indigenous Spanish variety, like Grenache, like Tempranillo, like Monastrell, like Bobal. Now, we're going to move to the region of Spain that has given the biggest name. Is Tony Sarrión here? No. The man from the paella, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Tony. The paella was fantastic. Okay, as I said, we are moving to the region that has given more name to Spain. We're moving to the legendary Rioja. And because Rioja is the locomotive of Spanish wine, I chose to show you 3 wines from Rioja. One that comes from a winery that's perceived as a more classical, but I chose a more modern style from this winery. And then 2 of the real modern Rioja. Let's start with the first wine from Rioja, which comes from Marqués de Riscal.
There are mainly 3 factors that contribute to the quality of the wines of Rioja. Number 1, the topography of its mountain ranges. We have 2 mountain ranges that form an inverted V. On the right-hand side, you have the Sierra Cantabria. It's these mountains that you see behind me. This is the north. And in the north is the Basque Country with its very humid and rainy influence, its Atlantic influence. To the south, we have the open part of the V that allows the ingress of the warm weather coming from the Mediterranean. And to the west, we have Sierra de la Demanda that protects Rioja from the cold influence, the continental climate coming from Castilla y León. Number 2 is Tempranillo. These vines that you see next to me, this is the land where probably Tempranillo expresses its best character, its best quality. And third is the soil, a soil mostly made out of limestone. The great soils of Rioja are limestone based. So these 3 factors contribute to the greatness of this land that has been producing excellent wines for thousands of years. This is Marqués de Riscal, the perfect example of the fusion between the most traditional and classic Rioja with the modern architecture of Frank Gehry. We're going to visit 3 parts of the complex: the winery, the spa run by Les Socs du Caudalis, and the hotel behind me, designed, as I said before, by Frank Gehry. Join me and let's have a good time at this magnificent complex. Alejandro, where are we? What is this place?
Well, this is the Cathedral of Marqués de Riscal. It's a living treasure of the company, where every vintage since the foundation has been kept. Of course, a few number of bottles.
And that's what date?
Yeah, the first vintage was 1862.
1862.
And the bottles from 1862. Since then, we've always kept bottles of every year in this place.
Would you say that this is probably the largest collection of old vintages, at least in Spain?
I would think so. I would think that there's very few wineries in the world that have a full collection since the first date.
And you have kept every single vintage?
Every single vintage. That means 150 already.
Okay. How about if we try one of those wines?
Let's go.
Let's go. I'll follow you.
My name is Alejandro Aznar. I'm the president of Marqués de Riscal, and I hope you enjoy today the wine you are going to taste from the winery. Thank you very much.
Marqués de Riscal, I was very lucky because I'm one of the very few people that have tasted the 1870 wines all the way to the modern vintages. And it's a true experience. But more interestingly is to see the evolution of the winery. The Barón de Chirel that you have in front of you used to be made, like most traditional Riojas, with 100% American oak. But they realized that in order to modernize the style of the wine, they had to shift to French oak. And they did it in a very gradually. So the first vintage that has 100% French oak is this one, is the 2008. Javier Ibáñez from Marqués de Riscal, I think you're around here. Anyway, thank you, Javier. Next wine, he is a true character. You have to go and visit this man if you ever go to Rioja. This is the town of Samaniego in Rioja Alavesa. We've come here to visit the winery of Fernando Ramírez de Ganuza. And it will be the same Fernando who will show us the winery, and with him we will taste a few of his wines, but especially the Trasnocho 2004, the wine that will be shown at the Great Tasting of Spanish Wines in Wine Future Hong Kong. What Fernando has just explained to us is that this plastic bag is inserted inside the vat and acts like a press, the press that you can see behind me. It presses the grapes without having to take the skins and the wine from the vats directly into the vat, and the result is a wine that is much more concentrated, but without any green, without any astringency, a much more soft and gentle wine. Well, as you can see, this is part of the hospitality of Spanish winemakers. If you ever visit Fernando Ramírez de Ganuza, make sure he cooks for you these river crabs. We're gonna try them now with, I think we're gonna taste it with his beautiful white wine.
Soy Fernando Ramírez de Ganuza y os invito a catar nuestro Trasnocho 2004 desde Rioja.
As you saw, Fernando is a very innovative man. He's always experimenting new things in order to improve the wines. But one thing I can say, I have never seen a more clean winery. When the wine is going through malolactic fermentation, he has tailor-made these towels with the circle of the bung just to prevent the little drops of wine to spoiling the barrels. If you go there, make sure he cooks those crabs. One of the most innovative families of winemakers is the family Eguren. They make wines in Rioja, but also in Toro. This prestigious wine region takes its name from a small little river called the Rio Oja, the River Oja. It's a tributary to the big river behind me, the Rio Ebro, the Ebro River that creates the Ebro Valley. We are in one of the most famous and prestigious vineyards of Rioja. It's called El Bosque, the forest. And I'm with Marco Seguren. He is the owner of Sierra Cantabria. Unfortunately, Marco doesn't speak English, but he was just telling me that this vineyard is very special because it's a very small plot, just 1.5 hectares, and very poor soils of gravel, which result in very small clusters of Tempranillo, but clusters that are very concentrated, that are very clean, very neat, that deliver a wine that is full of potential, lots of aromatic, with tremendous elegance. And Marcos is going to take us to see the vineyard. Marcos, vamos?
Vamos.
Marcos was just explaining to me why is this vineyard so special and why does it give such tremendous and fantastic wine. Number one, as he's pointing out, the size of the cluster, very small, nicely aerated, and all the berries nicely separated. Number two, the soil, stony gravel, very poor. And if you look at the leaves, those little green spots show part of the nutrition and the chemistry involved in the nutrition of the vine. And one more point, very important, a good quality Tempranillo, if you look at the pips, it should have 1 or 2 pips at the maximum. And also the relationship between the skin and the juice, which results in a very concentrated, lots of flavors, lots of aromatics. A fantastic wine.
Hola, soy Marco Seguren, de Sierra Cantabria, miembro de la familia de Guren, y vamos a presentar y disfrutar de este Bosque 2008 que espero que os siente con gran salud, que para mí es un factor importante.
Marco Seguren, fantastic wines. If you see the packaging and the bottles, they take care of every single detail. Everything is class. And this is the most powerful of all 3 wines that I wanted to show you. But it's that power with balance and with elegance. Try the wines from Eguren, they're fantastic. Before we go on to the next wine, I would like to send my best regards through the streaming to a person that wanted to be here. It's Javier de Galarreta. He's one of our main sponsors, and due to family problems, he couldn't be here today. But in behalf of the Wine Academy and all the team at Wine Future, Javier, we wish you all the best and thank you for your support. The next wine, thank you. The next one is made by 2 friends of mine. One very good friend, the other one I don't know him very well. And this wine comes from the second region that has become most popular in Spain, Ribera del Duero. At the heart of Ribera del Duero. This is known as the Golden Mile. You will see that there are vineyards and wineries left and right of the road, and some of the famous names, Vega Sicilia, Villa Creces, Arzuaga. And we're going to visit some of these wineries, but we're going to stop in A Alto, one of my favorite wines from Ribera del Duero, and we're going to meet Javier Zacagnini, the owner who, together with Mariano Garcia, a legendary name in the wine industry of Spain, will show us the wines, the winery, the vineyards.
designation of origin, Ribera del Duero, takes its name from a very important river, the River Douro. And the best way to learn what the river is to come to the river. Javier, why is this river so important for the quality of the wines of this region?
Well, you see, Pancho, and many of the great wine regions of the world are along the beds of one river. Take the Rhone, the Rhine, the Garonne, and here in Spain we have as well great wine rivers. One of them is the Ebro, where Rioja, Navarra, we have the Duero. The Duero, the Douro in Portugal, has many, many interesting wine regions along it. One is Ribera del Duero, where we are, see the beauty of the scenery we have, but then it flows over to Rueda, to Toro, Arribes del Duero, then it goes over to Portugal, the Vinho Verde, Alto Douro, great wines, and then of course port.
When you visit the Ribera del Duero, one of the things you have to do is taste what we call the lechazo. It's the baby lamb before it starts eating the grass. And there's a very simple way to do it. They're just gonna put some water, a little bit of salt, because what the chef wants is to preserve the flavor of the meat. No added spices or anything else. As you can see, he's putting some water, some salt, and this is Mauri. He's one of the experts in the region. It goes into this oven made of clay, and the oven has different parts. And moving the lamb around, it will get the perfect roast before it's taken to the table. Look at that. That's ready to be taken to the table. And as you can see, it's a very rich dish. It's got a lot of fat and needs wines with character, needs wines with tannin, with personality. That's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna taste an Alto with Javier Zaccagnini, and the wines of Ribera del Duero is the perfect match for the local food.
Hi, this is Javier Zaccagnini from Alto Winery. We're talking to you on the first day of our harvest 2011. We just made the break, Pancho and I, to enjoy our local dish, roast lamb, which we're going to drink PS 2005. With it goes perfectly well, and this is the wine that I'm going to present to you in this tasting. 2005 has a blend of the typical power of Tempranillo of Ribera del Duero with the finesse of that great year. Thank you. Hope you enjoy it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Javier Zaccagnini. But we have to mention Mariano Garcia. Mariano was the winemaker for Vega Sicilia for many, many years. It's one of the greatest winemakers, not only in Spain, in the world. And, well, just taste the wine. Thank you, Mariano. Please convey the message. The next wine, we're going to remain in Castilla León. The next wine comes from Toro. Toro means bull. And people, for many years, they thought that there was a relationship between the name and the wine because the wines were very rustic. But modern winemaking techniques, modern viticulture has resulted in a wine like the next one. Our wine is today in Castilla y León. Actually, we are in the appellation called Toro. Toro is a land where wines have been produced for centuries. What you see behind me is La Colegiata. This church, this cathedral, was started to build in the 12th century. And we are in the heart of Castilla y León, where the river Duero plays a very important role in the local viticulture. We're going to visit a winery called Termantia. Termantia was one of the first wines in Spain that achieved 100 points of Robert Parker.
This is the winery. This is Numancia, producer of this fantastic wine called Termancia. We are going to meet Manuel Louzada, the general manager and also the enologist. Come and join me and let's visit the winery.
The wines from Toro have been known to be rustic, intense wines. One of the techniques that we have adopted to try to avoid and to try to give elegance into the wines is to do hand destemming. Hand destemming is to select only the perfect grapes and separate from the cluster and then take them into the tanks where they're going to ferment. To make Termancia, we are one of the few wineries that uses the traditional pigeage technique, the feed crushing. When you start with grapes that come from vineyards that are over 140 years old, the level of concentration is so high that you have to use the most delicate technique. The most delicate technique starts with the hand destemming, and afterwards is the feed crushing. That's the way that you extract precisely what you want from the skin.
This is one of the secrets of the fantastic wines of Toro. Very old vines of Tempranillo, but the locals know it as Tinta de Toro, isn't it?
That's right, that's an adaptation of Tempranillo to the region. It became Tinta de Toro, and actually it's because of being pre-phylloxera vineyards, because of these sandy soils that didn't allow the phylloxera to progress.
So this is ungrafted?
Totally ungrafted.
Totally ungrafted. And age?
Well, this one should be around over 100 years old, so...
Oh.
Hi, I'm Manuel Louzada, and I hope you enjoy the visit to Numancia. This is the wine that you're going to have in the tasting, which is the Termancia 2006.
Termancia is a big wine, but you have to understand the wines from Toro in the context of the local gastronomy. That food that you saw, that suckling lamb or suckling pig, roasted lamb, they're very rich in fat, and you need a wine with lots of tannin that can cut through that fat. It's a real experience when you go to Toro and you can match the local food with wines like this. I think it's a fantastic experience to visit Numancia. You saw how carefully they work, hand destemming, still crushing the grapes with the feed. It's a fantastic winery. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Manuel Louzada, thank you very much. At this point, I want to thank a person that has traveled around Spain with me, doing thousands of miles, and he has to put up with me riding in the helicopter or the motorcycle. Eduardo Benito, please stand up and say thank you. We say thank you to you. He is the producer of all the videos. And the next video was quite an experience because we wanted to record the vineyards of Aragon, the home of Grenache, from the air. So we rented this helicopter, and the pilot said, oh, the best way to do it is we are going to take the doors from the helicopter so you can see it better. So imagine when you are hundreds of meters up in the air, just with a little seat belt and nothing, only the empty. You look down and it's really scary. And poor Eduardo not only had to go through that experience, he had to hold the camera. At least I could hold myself to the helicopter. You'll see it now.
America, much more, no?
Much more, much more.
Well, let's try it.
Where are the guys from Campo de Borja? The whole team is here. José Miguel San Martín and Íñigo. Muchas gracias. The origin of Grenache is where they come from. Grenache is not a French grape, it's Garnacha. It emigrated because the Kingdom of Navarra had invaded Sardinia, and from there went to the Châteauneuf du Pape. And because we are terrible at promotion, everybody thinks that Grenache is a French grape. We are pretty bad at promotion. Everybody thinks that the best ham is prosciutto and olive oil comes from Italy. So what? Okay, the last red wine, and as soon as we finish the red wine, you are up to a nice treat. Our sommeliers have prepared something very special for you as soon as we finish tasting this wine, eh, David Denton? Okay, the next wine comes from Jumilla.
Just drove down to the southeast part of Spain, to the region of Murcia. And the appellation we are visiting today is called Jumilla. Jumilla is known because of its sandy soils that never allow the growth of that disease called phylloxera that devastated most of the vineyards in Europe in the last part of the 19th century. And this is the kingdom of Monastrell. Monastrell is a red grape variety that is known in France as Mourvedre and other parts of the world, also known as Mataró. The winery we're visiting is called El Nido, and we're going to meet his owner, the owner of El Nido, Miguel Gil. El Nido, made with Monastrell and Cabernet Sauvignon, and is a project under the guidance of one of the most famous Australian winemakers, Chris Ringland. So here we are in a land that produces wines with vines ungrafted, no rootstock, Monastrell, Spanish grape variety, made in Spain by an Australian winemaker. This is the vineyard of El Nido, and it's a very special vineyard because the soils are sandy soils that, because of the amount of sand, never allow the growth of that disease known as phylloxera. These vineyards around me are more than 80 years of age, and the result is clusters very small, like this one, which a lot of concentration of aromas, lots of structure. It produces a wine that is rich in fruit flavors. It has a full-bodied, medium, elegant tannin. This is because of the sandy soil with all these stones, these calcareous stones, results in very low yields. And the low yields are the secret to a great wine of Monastrell or Mourvedre or Mataró.
Hola, soy Miguel Gil, propietario de Bodegas El Nido. Esta botella se corresponde con el Nido 2008 que vais a probar ahora. Espero que disfrutéis con él, yo creo que os va a encantar y también me encantaría veros por Jumilla, en Murcia.
El Nido. Is anybody from El Nido here? Anybody from El Nido? Anyway, we give you... Oh, there. Thank you. Fantastic effort. As I said, our sommeliers have prepared a very special presentation of the next wine. Ladies and gentlemen, the sommeliers from Wine Future. The next one is a sherry from Andalusia.
estrella, delante de un sin pecado y a la luz de la estrella. Y a la luz de la estrella y un romero está cantando en la noche marimeña. Y un romero está cantando en la noche marimeña. Candela, candela, como tú eres candela. Cuando cantan los romeros a la luz de la estrella de una...
Okay, while they continue pouring the next wine, I'm going to show you a little video, but we're moving to Andalusia. Andalusia is probably the most characteristic part of Spain. It's the essence of what people know about Spain. It's the land of flamenco, it's the land of the horses, the Royal Andalusian Equestrian School. It's a place where you can find fantastic food. It's a place where you go to enjoy life, carpe diem. And we're going to celebrate this visit to Andalusia with two wines. The first one comes from González Vías.
This is González Vías, one of the most legendary wineries in Spain and in the whole world. This is the land of sherry, an icon. This is the home of the Tío Pepe. And where we are now is known as Bodega de la Concha, which was built by Gustav Eiffel. And what you see behind me are the flags of all the countries where González Vías has distribution. This is one of the secrets of the wines of Jerez, the soil known as Albariza, where the Palomino Fino is planted. And this soil, it's very special because it is quite pale in color, it reflects the sunlight, it drains very well the rainfall, and it absorbs the humidity. You know, I can still feel the humidity in my hand. This is called Albariza. It's made of calcium carbonate, that's the technical word, and it's basically very similar to champagne or other soils, limestone base. So, Palomino Fino, Albariza, it's part of the secrets of the wine. This is one of the most amazing parts of the winery. This is what it's called the blending room. This is the place where the blends were made before releasing the product. And the interesting part is that this has been kept as it is since 1887. It's the day that the founder of the winery died, and the owners decided not to touch anything and to leave it as a
Hello to everyone from Jerez. We are here in González Bajas, one of the most traditional companies in the DO Jerez. We are in the south of Spain. The company was founded 175 years ago by my great-great-grandfather. And today we're going to taste one of our greatest wines, Amontillado del Duque. It's a very old Amontillado, aged for 30 years in American oak cask. And you can enjoy it with mature cheese and with game. I hope you will enjoy the tasting. Thank you.
Amontillado del Duque. Thank you. Let me give you a little tip that I learned from a Chinese person. Hairy crab with Amontillado. It goes beautifully because it's got all the notes of the oxidation, but still a little touch of what we call the flor in Spain, that yeasty character, that with that very special flavors of the hairy crabs makes an evening delicious. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pedro Revuelta and Mauricio González Gordon, the president, where are you? Thank you so much. Last but not least, the wine that made me think seriously that I should be in this business, Pedro Jiménez. Well, we just arrived in Córdoba, in Andalucía. As you can see behind me, the fantastic mosque shows us that the Arabs dominated Spain for over 800 years, and the influence can be seen everywhere. Monuments, the flamenco, the name of the rivers. And another very important thing that we will learn in this part of Spain is the appellation known as Montilla Moriles. It's the home of the grape variety known as PX or Pedro Jiménez that produces fantastic sweet wines. Tomorrow we will visit some of these monuments like the mosque behind me, but we will travel down to Montilla Moriles to see some of the vineyards and meet some of the winemakers, especially at Pérez Barquero. This is a typical bodega winery from Montilla Moriles. And what you see around me is the Solera system, the famous Solera system, these botas, these very old barrels made of American oak, contain Pedro Jiménez. Pedro Jiménez is not only the name of the grape, but also the name of the wine. And it's one of Spain's best kept secrets. It's a delicious sweet wine, the perfect dessert. After being aged in these botas for maybe 40, 50, 60, even 100 years, the result is a wine that it's mahogany, almost black, sweet, concentrated, but something very special. Let's go and meet the people that own the winery, let's visit the vineyards, and let's enjoy this fantastic Gran Barquero Pedro Jiménez.
This is a PX vineyard. From this grape, we make a sweet wine by dehydrating the grape, thanks to our sunshine, so that we concentrate all the sugar level. The grape is white, its skin is very thin, but with the sun-drying process and with the aging in the cellars, the wine will become dark and will become the best black liquid dessert.
What is the purpose of the tinajas, the clay vats?
Well, in the past, we used these vats to ferment the wines. But today, we ferment an inox and bring the new wine here so that it cleans.
And this wine that he's pouring is Pedro Jiménez, eh?
This is the wine we make from raisins of Pedro Jimenez. The color of the must is like honey or like dark honey and thick like honey. And then you'll now see sweet like honey as well.
And then from here it goes to the botas, goes to the
Can be
solera.
drunk as a vintage young PX, very fruity, or it can be aged in the traditional way in criaderas and solera. And the longer we age it, the darker it will become until becoming completely black.
Hi, my name is Rafael Delgado. I'm here with my colleague Adela Cordova. We are at the Pérez Barquero Winery, located in Montilla, in the south of Spain, Córdoba. And the reason why we're here is to present you the wine we are going to taste, Gran Barquero Pedro Ximénez.
Enjoy your tasting and hope to see you here in Montilla. Cheers.
Cheers.
Is there anybody from Pérez Barquero? Cheers. Thank you very much, madam. This is the perfect dessert. You don't have to accompany anything with this. Just a little glass of Pedro Jimenez. It's a fantastic experience. I would like you to raise one glass, the one that you enjoy the most. Anyone. Raise your glass. But before we drink this glass, I would like to ask for a big round of applause, first of all, for our sommeliers, especially the ones that came from America, Singapore, and Chile. But especially David Dento and Maria Dento, who are in charge of all the sommeliers for Wine Future. Christopher from the United States. Paco Galdiano from Santi Santa Maria in Singapore. Andres Aedo from Chile. And the sommeliers from the Hong Kong Sommelier Association. Thank you so much. Please raise your glass and do me a big favor. Shout, ¡Viva España! Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.